Little Feet are a southern rock band who were formed in LA in 1969. So they were formed by two guys, Bill Payne, who was the keyboard player, and Lowell George, who was the singer and guitarist. So the story goes, there are various different versions apparently. Lowell was fired from Frank Zappa's Mother's Invention, and there are several different stories why, but it was to do with a song called Willin'. But the breakup was amicable enough for Frank Zappa to help Little Feet then get on their feet and get a contract. So they existed since 1969, and in 1979 they released their 8th album. However, Lowell George had disbanded Little Feet partway through recording the album because he got quite disgruntled at the musical direction the band was going in and disagreements with other members of the band. He then created a solo album and was in the process of touring that when he died of a heart attack. At that point, the other members of Little Feet got back together, finished the album, and then disbanded again. Flash forwards a little bit, and several members of the band were hired to work on an album by a woman called Helen Watson, and this was 1987, and Little Feet reformed at that point. And they've been going ever since. They've had a few member changes, but it's been quite a long time. And in the intervening time, they've created 9 more albums, although the latest, as I record this, was in 2012, which was 11 years ago. Hi, my name's Dan. So this is a live album by Little Feet, and it was their first live album, but their last album that was released while Lowell George was still part of the band. So it features Lowell as the singer and one of the guitarists. It's my first encounter not only with this album but with the band. I have heard of them, but I have no knowledge about them as a band. So yeah, I'm learning stuff, and this is a good thing. This is a very highly thought of live album, and it's a double album, so it's quite long. Apparently they recorded enough material for a triple album, but managed to be persuaded to bring it down to a double. It's quite a biggish band, so it includes, as well as bass and drums, 2 guitars, electric guitars, a percussionist, and the Tower of Power horns section, which are a great addition to this. Stylistically, I would say it meanders between country rock and blues rock, New Orleans kind of blues rock, soul and funk, and it's somewhere in all those bits at different points in time. They put on different styles on purpose at points, and it's kind of like a great big melting pot of southern American styles of rock, and in some ways reminded me at times of other people. So it reminded me of some of the more straightforward Grateful Dead stuff. It reminded me of the Allman Brothers Band at times. It reminded me of Ry Cooder's, some of his stuff, but even some of the more kind of traditional New Orleans stuff like Cajun and things like that have got their flavour in here as well. The songs, generally, I didn't find them particularly earth-shattering in terms of the lyrics. They're quite, mostly kind of, as you'd expect from this sort of thing. There's a song called Atlanta about Atlanta, presumably, and there's songs about relationships and things. There's some drug references in here. My favourite song is Dixie Chicken, which is, the arrangement of it is great. It's long, and they put all sorts of different elements into it. But the song itself is a fun song about a guy who meets a woman, falls in love, spends some money, and gets kind of wasted, and then she goes away, and then he finds out that kind of incidentally that this has happened with several other people. But it's presented in a nice bit of storytelling song way, so it's great. There's a track called Fat Man in the Bathtub. I haven't really picked up what that's about, but it's a great title for a song. There's a song called Old Folks Boogie, which is quite nice. There's a song called Willin', which was this was the song that was um, central to Lowell George being fired from Frank Zappa's Mother's Invention, and is a song about basically about drugs and wine. And so, and I didn't find that great a song. It's more of a country song, and country's not my favourite. And then it's drugs, and that's not necessarily my favourite thing either. There's a track which is by another band called Don't Bogart That Joint, which I've heard before in other settings. Again, not hugely bothered by that. In terms of the music, though, that's where I really enjoyed this album. It's I want to use the adjective stomping here. It's really infectious musically, or at least I found it so. This kind of blend, and particularly the kind of the aspects of funk coming in here as well. But it's not kind of full on funk. It's got blues in it. There's at least one track that's very blues. You could kind of hear as if it was from Mississippi Delta blues roots to it. And it's the bass and the drums that really have made this. I mean, there's a lot of ornamentation and other stuff going on. All of the players are obviously very good, competent musicians, but not just technically, but it's the feel of it that's great. But particularly the bassist and the drummer managed to create a backbone that's just got this real kind of southern rock feel to it, and is great. I loved it. The George Lowell's guitar work is pretty good. He's got some introductions that he does for some of the songs where he's doing some interesting percussive sounds with his guitar, and he does that very well. So overall, I was really impressed. I really like this album. It's a great feel-good live album. It's entertaining and it's rich and satisfying. It definitely kind of hits my 70s blues and funk kind of things that I like. I like those bits of extended instrumental pieces in here as well. So there's lots that ticks the boxes for me. So yeah, that was good. What do you think? Do you know this album? Please contribute to the debate. Not that I've ever really managed to get a big debate going on any of these tracks. Maybe this is the first one. All right. So, yes, please respond by sticking your fingers on the keyboard and typing something into the comments box. That's it from me for now.